Hi everyone, Russ Thomas here from RST Coaching Academy. Welcome to a new episode of Money Talks, where we talk about money and how to make more of it. Hello everybody, here we are in Daytona Beach, or I'm in Daytona Beach. My guest today, Sean Ginsburg from San Diego, California. He's not in Daytona Beach. He's in San Diego somehow. I don't know how he got there, but there he is. He'll probably tell us how he got there. But anyway, he's my friend, and we're colleagues in the similar type of business and Grant Cardone coaching business. And I wanted to bring him on today to for you to get acquainted with him, for him to tell you his story, how he got to what he's doing in the real estate business, how it's been working for him, maybe some challenges, and ultimately maybe some advice that he can pass on to you. So I'm going to turn it away here, turn it into a conversation with Sean. And Sean, have at it. Give us some background. Tell us about Sean. Okay?
Absolutely. Hey, Russ, I appreciate you having me. I'm honored to be a guest on your podcast. It's really, I appreciate the opportunity to be in here. So I'm actually from Philadelphia.
Aha.
I was 18 years old after I graduated high school. I said, I'm getting out of here. I can't stand it. I lived in a little small suburb called King of Prussia, and I packed my 2 suitcases and I headed across the country to Los Angeles. I landed in San Fernando Valley, and the ultimate goal was to become an actor, right? And I was there for 7 days until I took an Uber all the way down to San Diego. It really wasn't what I was looking for. And LA, you sit in traffic for 3 hours anywhere you want to go. So I took an Uber all the way down to San Diego, and basically I found myself running stores, gas stations, liquor stores. And what happened is I saw all these guys actually buying the shopping centers and the strip malls of where they had their businesses that I was running for them. And I said, oh my God, I think I can help these guys. I can sell real estate. So I started to look in to see what brokers were doing and what the real estate agents were doing. And I said, I can do this. So I got my real estate license. And I think one of the biggest, before I get into all the other stuff, one of the biggest challenges was passing that test. I took that test, Russ. Guess how many times?
4.
7.
7. Oh my.
7 times. I thought I knew it all, right?
Well, that tells us a little bit about you and your tenacity, your persistence, your perseverance, your stick-to-itiveness attitude, all which are elements of success, aren't they? No matter what we're doing in life. If we throw in the towel after one setback, what are we? What good are we? We're not going to accomplish anything. How long ago was this, Sean? When did you get into this area over there in California?
That was 5 years ago.
Oh, hey, you've been there 5 years. Okay. All right. Continue on. Carry on.
I've been in San Diego since 2015. For the first couple of years, was not in real estate. So I got my real estate license when I was about 21. And I'm now obviously 26. So I got my real estate license and I joined a brokerage. It was 100% commission brokerage, no support, no training, no nothing. I was out there doing open houses every single day for like 12 hours a day. And then I got recruited because my sales numbers were very good for an agent that was, just starting out, to one of the top performing teams in San Diego. So I did very, very well with them. And then Coldwell Banker recruited me. And then I ended up going over to Real because I got recruited by them. So I think long and haul, I think the real estate business is a fantastic, amazing business, but there is definitely a lot of, agents out there. And this goes for any business. I think that, 20% do 80% of the business. That's true for any business, because I think that people are afraid to get out of obscurity. And, obviously Grant Cardone, he talks about that all the time. You got to get out of obscurity.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Over the last 5 years, I've been professionally selling real estate. I'm also a business coach for Grant Cardone. So I have a coaching company as well. And, obviously we've met and crossed paths quite a few times. We've had some fantastic conversations. And yeah, so it's been it's been quite the journey. It's definitely has not been easy, but it's definitely been worth it.
What was it that, I mean, you were out there 12 hours a day, you said. So you were out prospecting, going door to door, banging on doors and talking with people. Is that pretty much what you're doing? Face to
So
face?
I was doing, you name it. I was cold calling. I mean, my day looked like I'm up at 3:55 every morning. By 8 o'clock in the morning, by 7:30, I'm role playing, getting started for the day. By 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm on the phones calling expireds, for sale by owners, circle prospecting. Say 12 o'clock comes around. If I didn't have an appointment set for the afternoon, I was going out and door knocking. Door knocking, I would door knock. I mean, I was at a door for 15 seconds. If they didn't answer, I was running to the next one. I'd hit maybe 100, 150 doors a day. Open houses, I would do like anywhere from 10 to 12 hours a day. Typically on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I put out, 40, 50 signs, market it, knock on the neighbors' doors, invite them into the open house. I mean, just getting out there and just grinding.
Wow, that that definitely puts you in the upper echelon of productivity, going out there and doing the work. Um, how did you deal with all the people that maybe hung up on you or said, "I'm not interested, leave me alone"? How did that set with you, and how did you overcome that?
When I first got in the business, it was a challenge because I knew it was a numbers game, and that's what I was told by my first broker.
Mm-hmm.
But my first broker was not also in production. They had sold 20 years ago, and all they were doing was helping with the contracts, and they were helping with go out and do this and do that. They
Uh-huh.
weren't necessarily mentoring or coaching me, right?
Uh-huh. Okay.
I hired my first coach about 2 years into the real estate business, which for anybody listening, I promise you, hire the coach when you first get into any business. It'll transform your life and 10x your results in the first 3 to 6 months.
Great.
I think it was I trained a lot of jujitsu. I wrestled for 13 years, and I knew that if I practiced those moves over and over and over and over again, that those no's would turn into yeses. And I knew that, okay, maybe 400 people will tell me no today, but that one person will say yes. So I just looked for that one person to go help solve that problem for them, which in return I would get paid for. And in real estate, you get paid handsomely, but you're doing what nobody else wants to do, which is get told no, get rejected, go out there, put yourself in situations where you're uncomfortable, being comfortable, asking somebody to help them. I think it's a huge mindset shift as well. I think that for all the people listening, I think it's, if you really want it, the universe is going to test you. And the universe is going to say, okay, you want that door to open? Well, we're going to close it on you until you bust the door down, whether you have a chainsaw and you saw it down, or if you just simply open the door and walk through it. And they're going to test you until you have the skills and the ability to continue doing what you're doing because you believe not only in yourself, your product, and your business, but you believe you're the one to actually go out and do it.
Good point. Did obviously you may not have been born with it, but you developed the stick-to-itiveness and the determination, the drive to go out and do and make the calls. Did you receive training from this coach as to how to handle various situations, or how did that coaching work for Sean? How did that fit you and help you get to the next level?
Sure. So I think for the first 2 years before I had a coach, it was all just, reading books, YouTube, just constantly trying to find answers and just trial and error, just going out there, trying different things. And just over the phone, it's a lot more easier to get told no because you're hiding behind a phone and so are they. So I would call them back up after they hung up on me and, I'm going to report you. I'm going to, go get a real job, cursing at me, doing whatever it takes to get me off the phone. And then I just started writing down, like, what are they telling me and why are they saying that? And how many other people are saying the same thing that I've been saying? So I started to change it up. When I was door to door, That's a lot more challenging because you have somebody that's face to face telling you to kick rocks, get off my lawn.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it was the numbers. It was once you get the numbers and you reverse engineer your business plan and you see how many people it takes to actually get in front of to really get a deal done and to help solve somebody's problem, it doesn't even affect who you are as a person because you in sales, I mean, you know this better than I do. You can't take anything personally.
Right.
If you take it personally, you're going to get degraded. You're going to feel bad about yourself. You're going to want to go back to a day job. You're not going to want to do anything. So once the coach came along, it was really just drilling in those numbers, drilling in the numbers. Why? Why do you want to do this? Who are you becoming in the process? Knowing all of this information and becoming who you need to become to sound like the professional you need to be to help solve more problems and help more people. So yes, I've had trainings. I got into role. I was on the phone at 4:30 in the morning role playing with people in Michigan. I mean, I've been role playing. I mean, I still role play to this day in Clubhouse and Facebook. I mean, everywhere. I still have agents call me, and on my team, I also role play objections, negotiations, agent to agent. Depending on what the situation is, I think that practicing every single day, no matter what or how you feel, is the key to the success of where you want to go in this life, in the business that you're in. I think that's probably the biggest thing that separates the greats from everyone else.
Right.
As a jiu-jitsu artist, I'm practicing the fundamentals every single day. They say a black belt is a white belt that has mastered the fundamentals, right? So it's just constantly, I need to think about it. Your commission is too high. We're looking at other agents, right? All of these things, like I've practiced, rehearsed, role played, chanted, recorded myself, and went over them thousands of times. So on the spot, I can handle any of that stuff.
Right.
And it's funny because now I can help solve somebody's problem that's holding them back from either selling a home, from getting more business, from whatever the problem may be that they're looking to solve.
Wow, that's brilliant. You mentioned, jujitsu, obviously sports, and people in the sports world, military, what do? They train all the time. They train, they drill, they practice, they rehearse. People should be doing that in the sales profession as well. You're living proof, and then it's working. That's the thing too, is how you developed. You had the insight to say, what kind of answers am I getting from people? What are they saying? How are they responding? What are they objecting? What are their objections? Writing them down and then figuring out how to respond to those things. When a person's not trained and drilled, everything is a brand new thing. It's like, oh golly, I don't know how do I deal with that? But if they've been practicing, know what to say in response. Maybe it's going to work, maybe it isn't, but at least the individual, the salesperson, has had, they've got a word in, they had a response, and if there's something else that comes up, well, then they've got an answer for that too. I've always felt like I can say what needs to be said. The challenge for me is not knowing what to say. And as we learn those things, like you have obviously done, you know what to say, and there you go. You've done it enough, you practiced it enough that it just rolls right off your tongue. Wouldn't you say that's super advice to anybody?
Absolutely. I think what to say, how to say it, and when to say it, I think is huge. Because when you're role playing, because in these conversations, especially like door to door over the phone, you only have like 5 to 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So when you can sit there and role play with somebody, and you can actually, like, for instance, like if I'm practicing just for instance, for sports people, if you're practicing a move or if you're practicing a play, right? you're not going to make that play. You're not going to go 1,000 miles per hour to make that play happen. You're going to take it like in slow motion. So when I'm role playing and I'm rehearsing and chanting these role plays, I'm watching my facial expressions, my tonality. I'm looking at how I look. Am I confident? Am I smiling? Right? All of these things add up to how you say it, because it's not even so much what you say, it's how you say it that actually matters.
Right.
So I think that, as you're role playing, if you're stuck, don't just try to spit something out. Actually let the process take place. Like, let those word tracks happen naturally. Because if you're sitting there role playing and you're just trying to get to the close, it's never going to happen. But if you get stuck and you say, okay, hold on, thank you. You just got me. Let me think about this. And you actually get to start, the brain functioning correctly, like those word tracks will come. Then it'll be like an aha moment. You say, oh, wait, this is how I should have handled it. And then you go back into the role play. So, and then that helps the client realize that you're not only a professional, but you're there to help them. Most people are just there for a commission or to
Right.
sell. Me, I'm as much as they're qualifying me, I'm also qualifying the client or the customer.
Uh-huh.
So you gotta, it's also what's not being said is super powerful as well. Grant talks about that, the unspoken objection. So
Mm.
I focus on what's being said, but then I also kind of use the, I guess you could call it intuition of, well, hold on a second. What's not being said here? How are they looking? Are they focused on me? Are they looking around? Do I have their full attention? If
Uh-huh.
I feel like I don't, I'll tell them, hey, I don't have your full attention, do I? Right. And that's something I picked up from Grant, because he's right. Like, I'm not just gonna, if there's something awkward or we're not flowing or we're not in connection, I
Uh-huh.
know that something has not been said that should have been said. And I'm not here to hide anything. Right. That's not my job. So I think if I could give any piece of advice, I don't give advice, Russ.
You're getting ahead of me. That was about the last thing I was going to ask you for, was some advice, but you're on it. Keep going. What's the advice?
For a sales professional, no matter how good you think you are, I don't care if you've been doing this 30, 40, 50 years, get up every day. There's number one, as Grant says, every objection that you get from the client is the objection you have within yourself, right? You are the creator of all objections. So if you are not, if somebody needs to think about it, okay, what are you thinking about inside of your own life that you haven't done yet, that you haven't committed to, that you haven't executed? Are there dishes in your sink? Is there maybe a car that you wanted to buy, but you needed to wait on it and sleep on it, right? Why are you not pulling the trigger? Is there maybe a relationship issue, right? Until
Uh-huh.
you clear up this, it's anything that's going on in here will be a direct reflection of out there. This is a mirror out here.
Uh-huh.
So when you can clear everything up inside of you and you can go out there and start actually testing what you just did, now you can actually help somebody get through something that's holding them back because you solved that problem yourself. You can't ask somebody to do something that you're unwilling to do yourself, right? When it comes to practicing, look, these professional football players, Russ, what do? They practice 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week for a what, 2 or 3 hour game?
Right. All that
That,
work for just 2 or 3 hours.
that tells us as professionals a lot. I mean, gosh, you go to the headquarters at Grant's place. I mean, these guys, it's like you're on I don't know your favorite football team, but it's a professional sports game,
Right.
right? They're in there, they're clapping, they're getting ready for the day. They have their targets, their goals, right? Writing out your goals every single day, I think is huge, is important. It keeps you on track. And then, having those people in a network that's actually going to help push you forward, not hold you back, right? So the people that I don't know if I can, that'll never work, that'll never happen. That's giving you the motivation and that's telling you to keep on moving forward in the direction that you're currently going in.
Uh-huh. Good points. You mentioned the salesperson that's been doing this for 30, 40, 50 years. You figure there's probably some stagnation there in that individual, maybe set in their ways and, well, I'm doing okay, and I don't want to change, and I can't buy this car because I'm not willing to put forth the effort to change enough in order to increase my income to be able to afford that car.
100%.
You run across that sometimes in every walk of life. Grant talks about the four degrees of activity, and number 3, which is average activity, is the worst, is the most dangerous, because it lulls people into thinking, I'm okay. I'm just like everybody else. I'm doing okay. When in fact, there's so much more to accomplish, so much more to do if we would just put out a little bit more effort. Tell me about your coaching business. You started a coaching business as a sideline to your real estate company, to your real estate business. How does that work? What are you doing with that?
Yeah, great question. So I think that for me, real estate's awesome. It's a lot of fun. I've helped a lot of people. For me, really what it comes down to is I think it's fun finding somebody's dream home and selling somebody's home to get them, to move to Texas or Arizona, wherever they're going. But I think it's even more fun to teach a salesperson how to do what I did. Right. So my niche is helping real estate agents because I've been in the business for so long. But I mean, before I did real estate, I've been in a lot of different industries. My dad's a master plumber. I worked in construction, new construction. I did flip, sale, multifamily. I've helped HVAC, electricians, title companies, escrow companies. So the coaching goes side by side with what I actually do on an everyday basis. And I think that I'm just more passionate about actually showing somebody how to go make 50 grand, rather than going out there. And I think the value that you get from showing and helping somebody grow into the person they need to be and become to have the life that they want and choose to have is a lot more fulfilling for me than, going through like an investor buying a new property. Like there's a lot of challenges inside of the real estate business. I'd rather have 500 units, like I have my goals. Like I want to own, like Grant's got what, 12,000 units. Like I want 50,000 units by the time I'm, 80 years old. Right. Coaching it's extremely impactful for me because it helped me get to the places that I wanted to go. And it's so long. I tell people, well, do you guarantee me results? And I say, absolutely. So long as you guarantee me, you'll do all the work.
You do the work, you'll get the results. Right.
So as long as you're willing to, if you're hungry, ambitious, willing to do the work, willing to do whatever it takes, and you're disciplined enough to get out there every single day, no matter how you feel, you're going to get results.
Right.
A lot of coaches I see as well, I've been coached by people where they're just collecting fees. I'm not in the business to collect fees and, tell you everything is going to be okay. Right. The reason people hire us as coaches is because we're going to tell them what they're not seeing, right? Their blind spots, right?
Right.
Mindset shifts. So I think go ahead.
It's not always what we want to hear from our coach, what we need to hear in order to facilitate the change in us as individuals, as whatever our walk of life is. And that's the coach's job, is to sometimes say the hard things, to put forth the tough challenge, to stretch the person, the client, in order to get ultimately where that client wants to go. Because we don't set their goals, do we? We help them to accomplish those goals. Typically requires a lot, at least a little change, but usually a lot of change to reach those big goals. It's exciting.
And that's where growth happens the most.
Yeah. The stretching process. Yeah, indeed. You've come a long way in 5 years in the real estate business, and now in the coaching career. You probably don't see yourself leaving one or the other. They're probably both going to be lifetime opportunities of business for you, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I think so. For a long time, I'm kind of pressed on that. Honestly, I've been talking to some of my mentors and coaches myself. And, one of my mentors back in the day said, because I wanted to be a lender, I wanted to be in an MLM and set you up on the utilities after I sold you your house and get you your loan and sell you the home. Whoa, 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 wait. Okay. You want to be a jack of all trades and be good at all of these things? Or do you want to be the greatest at one thing and one thing only? And I said, oh, wow. I said, I want to be the greatest. They said, well, you need to make a decision. So I feel like at this point, I'll always sell real estate because I'm so good at it and I love it and I know how to flip, I know how to wholesale. And when there's that problem I can solve for somebody, absolutely I'm going to do it.
Uh-huh.
Personally, I think I am shifting more into the coaching business. But I think forever I'll definitely be in both of them, especially as an investor. I think real estate, there's nothing more tangible than that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's here to stay. People are always going to be buying and selling. Do you get a lot of your business through referrals and repeat, that you sold them a house 5 years later down the road, or 2 years later, they got to move again or something. So they're back on the phone with you?
Absolutely. So I spend most of my time, and I have an acquisitions team. So I spend most of my time prospecting. But yes, absolutely. I don't, if you take a look at the business right now, especially with what's happened and happening, all the
Uh-huh.
referral and repeat business is very, very, it's drying up.
Uh,
It's not as busy as it once was, right?
uh-huh.
So no matter what, I keep that machine constantly moving forward, right? Because that's what most real estate agents, for instance, they have business, they get business, they get business, and all of a sudden they start doing the business and they stop prospecting and their business goes down. And then they spend all their money and they're like, oh my God, I'm back to zero. What do I do? Well,
Yeah.
what do you do with the business? So no matter what, I'm constantly prospecting. And when the referrals come along and the past clients come along, absolutely. Oh my gosh, I'd say about 40% of my business is repeat and referral. And then
Okay.
the other six, I could even say 30% because a lot of my clients, they end up moving out of state and they'll actually refer me their colleagues, their executives, their friends and family that still live in San Diego.
Uh-huh.
A lot of referrals from agent to agent referrals from across the country. I get a lot of referrals from Florida, Michigan, Philadelphia, because that's where I'm from. A referral business, though, that's where you want to head to. I just think it's so important to keep that machine constantly moving, as in getting new business. Because the referrals, that's the easiest type of deal to get and to do. At the same time, you cannot rely on somebody's going to call you today and say, hey, I have 5 people for you. I just
Yeah.
don't think so. It's not scalable.
True. But and that might be part of the story of the person that's been doing this successfully for 30 or 40 years, is they're relying so much on referrals, and as that well goes dry, so does their source of income, and they've lost the drive and gotten out of practice doing what probably made them successful in the first place, namely being out there, priming the pump, knocking on the doors, talking with people. I think it seems like there's just gobs and gobs of real estate agents in the whole country. But how many of them are actually producing anything that one could be, called successful in that, because they're not doing all that needs to be done. I imagine you're in San Diego County, correct? That's a county?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know how many real estate agents there are in your county?
I think there's 25,000 plus. And I think to the National Association of Realtors, I think there's about, I forget the exact, don't hold me to this. I think it was 40 or 50% got out of the business just this last like 18 months.
No kidding.
It's because, like we said earlier, 20% do 80% of the business. And out of that 20%, really only 10% are really doing the business in the real estate business here in San Diego, anyways.
Uh-huh.
And the reason being is because most people get the real estate license and think they're going to make millions of dollars selling homes when, that's what it looks like on the front end, but on the back end, they don't know how challenging a deal is to do, to get the client, to nurture the client, to
Mm-hmm.
get, for instance, to find a house, to sell the house, to go through the transaction, contingency periods, to close the deal, right? All of this stuff, it's a very challenging process, and most people get the real estate license and they sell maybe 2 or 3 homes a year. I mean, the average real estate agent, I think, makes like 30 or 40 grand a year.
Huh.
And when you put it into perspective, most of them get their license because mom or dad needs to sell, their cousin needs to sell, and or they're they got their hand out waiting for business to happen.
Right.
And I think a lot of those brokers that have been getting all the referral business and been giving those leads to the agents on their team, those are starting to dry up, and they're starting to say, oh my God, what am I going to do? The team members on those brokers teams have been fleeing those brokerages. When the leads dry up, so do your salespeople. They have nothing to sell them, right?
Right.
They've never been taught to fish,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
they're teaching them to fish, but if you teach a man to fish, you're going to feed them for a lifetime.
Right.
So I think all in all, I think that when people actually put themselves in the position to be a real estate agent or be a professional in the business, you got to be willing to do whatever it takes to continue what you first started when for instance, for somebody that's been in the business for 30 years, when you first got in the business, you didn't have referrals like that. And if you did, it was probably a couple a year.
Mm-hmm.
Get referrals like that are now drying up to half. You got to do something different. And the only way that something different happens is by change. And by changing, growth happens.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge. You've got, well, you're shining. You are a bright star in that county, in your area, because just by the virtue of what you're doing, calls attention to yourself and the success that you've had. But some of the things you're talking about don't apply just to real estate, do they?
Not
Success principles are success principles, no matter what profession an individual is in. That we all face the challenges of what are we going to do to become successful. When you got in the business, did somebody tell you that you had to go out and do all this stuff and work like a fool 12 hours a day? Or was that just a realization that you said, if I'm going to be successful, I've got to do this, this, and this?
It was a little bit of both.
It
was most of the people saying, it'll never work. You'll never be successful. There's too many agents. It's too competitive. Then you had the people that were like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. You're going to have to work really, really long hours. Right? And then you talk to maybe somebody that's had massive success and they're like, oh my God, yeah, what do you need help with? Like, what are you currently doing? These are some of the things that helped me when I first got into the business. And then I started listening to the top agents and listening to podcasts. And then finally I got coached. But yeah, it was just like, go out there and find business, go out there and do it. Because I used to buy and sell motorcycles, cars, trade, motorcycles and cars. I mean, I sold stuff online. So I knew already, like, okay, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this at such a young age, number one, people are going to look at me and say, I don't know what I'm talking about. And one of my mentors always told me, well, if you just sound like you've been doing it for 30 years, you'll get business. Figure out, okay, how can I sound like I've been doing this forever? And then I started putting my story together. I mean, my dad's a master plumber. I mean, I literally seen behind the walls. I know what takes place when a home gets built. I know how to flip homes. I know how to do the work. I know how to put in sewers and all that stuff. So it was more along the lines of, okay, what is it going to take to actually figure this thing out so that I can not only be successful, but show everybody else that, yes, you can do this. If I can do this, you guys can do this.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You mentioned age, and I was going to ask you about that. Have you had many people comment? You're 26 years old. In fact, you've been doing this, what'd you say, 5 years? So you were 21 when you started this whole thing. How did people look at you, and how did you overcome that, shall we say, stigma of that look?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it was quite challenging because when I was 21, I looked like I was 15. I'm 26. I look like I'm 19. Right. So, I mean, yeah, I'd have open houses and, everyone told me in the business when I walked in, oh yeah, go start at 300-400 grand, go do condos and townhomes. And I'm like thinking to myself, no, I would go do open houses for other agents at 2, 3, 4 million bucks. Right. I'd cold call 200-300 agents a week trying to get an open house for the weekend, and it was no less than $1 million. So people would come into these high dollar homes and be like, what is this kid doing here?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just asked me like, I'd say, and they, well, you're too young to sell real estate. What are you doing here? And I'm like, that's exactly why I'm here. Right. Why do you want to work with somebody that's been doing this for 40 years? They have thousands of clients. I'll be your only client. You want to go see the home down the street? You don't like this one. And I just go out there and have fun with it. I definitely I've lost deals because I was so young and I didn't have experience, but also I wasn't speaking like I did have the experience. And until I did, that's when people started actually taking me seriously.
Oh, yes.
So once I got a few deals under my belt, I could actually talk about the process. I could talk to them about the problems that could come up during a transaction that could arise. And then I'd have 4 or 5 solutions if those occurred. Right. So I think it's just the confidence in who you are as a person too, the confidence, because at first it was like, I'm not confident. Like how am I going to sell $2 million home to this person who's, making $10 million a year? But now I look at kids trying to sell me something and they're well scripted. They're confident in their abilities. They believe in their product. And I'm like, absolutely, I'll do business with you 100%. Because I remember me being there. So I think confidence is key as well in the process.
Right, indeed. Yeah. And another thing is that you, as opposed to somebody that's been around, they get somebody that's filled with enthusiasm, filled with drive, going places, whereas maybe somebody that they dealt with in the past, been around for so long, there's, like I said before, they're stagnant. And it's just, come see, come saw, say, que sera. But you're out there pushing. And that goes along with just success. Another principle of success, isn't it? Is just the push, push, push. So you're in the coaching business, specializing in real estate. How could people get a hold of you? One of my listeners, one of my viewers, seeing this, hearing this today says, I like that kid. Yeah, he's a sharp guy. He's going someplace. I want to go with him. How can they reach you? How can they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So you can find me on all the social medias. Primarily, you can go to, say, Instagram, Sean.Ginsburg. And then you can also
spell your last name.
Ginsburg. Got
it. Sean.Ginsburg. Okay.
And then our headquarters, it's 610-999-5115. You can call directly in and we'll answer on the first click.
You will. That's quite an accomplishment right there. How big is your team?
So I have my personal team is five of us, and I have an acquisitions team of cold callers. I think we just 7. There's 8 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, we have 8 of them. They all do something different. We have 4 cold callers and then 4 cold outreach, like they do DMs and stuff like that. And then on the team that I'm on, we have 75 agents.
Okay. That's with the real agency you're talking about, the team that you're on?
Correct.
Okay. And then you have your own, it seems like a lot of realtors have started their own little organization to propagate their own part of the business instead of being just a one-man band. Obviously, that's worked well for you.
Well, once you get to a certain volume of sales, you need help to get past the next, module, the next level, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, because I could do it all myself, but why would I want to do it all myself? I want to help more people. I want to sell more homes, right? So each person has a dedicated, obviously, 2 of the agents are buyer's agents, 2 of them are listing specialists, and then one of them is pretty much an admin that does all the paperwork for us. And then we have transaction coordinators on top of brokers, especially. So it all works well, all in all. I'll probably take my team to about 15 agents and leave it at that, because I think a lot of the bigger teams have hundreds of agents. And I just think that if I can have a solid 15 or 20 agents max that are doing 30 to 40 million a year, that's a lot stronger than having 100 agents that 10 of them are doing that type of volume and the other 90 are doing 2 or 3 deals a year.
Right.
So I think keeping it a tight-knit community, I think, is, for me anyways, is it's a lot more personable, and we
Right.
can go a lot further faster without having to have, dragged to dead weight in a
Right.
sense.
Yeah. And you can nurture those 15 much better than if you had gobs more that you just can't one individual yourself. And I know you want to impart part of you into each of those individuals to the extent that they're willing to participate, that they're willing to glean from you, learn from you, and apply what you've learned through your experience, the wisdom that you've gained. And I imagine that some of these people are a little older than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But don't let that stop you. I know you're not. That's
No, not at all.
awesome.
And they actually, it's funny because as much as they teach me, I'm teaching them. So it goes both ways.
Oh, okay.
I may be very, very, very good at sales, but maybe they've been in the business 20 years and they know something about the contract that I don't.
Hmm.
Like, our contracts in San Diego change every single year, every
Oh,
single year.
wow.
So when it comes to the contracts, I have, like 3 transaction coordinators that check my paperwork. We take it very, very seriously with risk management, but there's always a deal. I've had brokers in the business 50 years that learn something new every single transaction.
Huh.
Every single transaction, there's something that'll come up that you're like, huh, I've never seen that before. So you have to figure out, okay, well, who do we have in our network that could help us with this question, right? Sometimes the brokers don't know, so you have to go to a lawyer, an attorney, or the California Association of Realtors to
Uh-huh.
find out, like, how or what could we do to make this right, right?
Yeah.
Besides, so I think some of the people that have been through some transactions that have had certain things take place like that, they can give that advice. And then vice versa when it comes to sales, or maybe I had a deal that they're working on that they're having challenges with that I went through. So it just goes, it shows you that just life's full circle. So, I'm constantly stay humble. I mean, there's just so much that I learn on a daily basis, especially going through those transactions. And it's fun. You got to keep this stuff fun. If it's not fun, not enjoying it, like, why are we doing it?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't call me anymore. I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to know you. Click. That's
I
fun.
love that.
That's fun for Sean, folks.
Of
He's in
course, I'll
it.
call back. I'll call right back.
Sean's in it to win it, and he's definitely winning. That's really cool. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go, but I really appreciated our time together for me to get to know you more. And it's just deepened my appreciation for you as an individual and as a businessman and a coach, and successful in your field. And I think you've just basically scratched the surface. At 26 years old, I'm 3 times your age.
Wow.
If I knew what you know at your age, if I would have applied it, I'd probably be down the road a little farther myself. So good for you. I say, God bless you, and keep up the good work. Give us the phone number one more time.
Yes, sir. 610-999-5115. And Russ, thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. I appreciate you. I'm honored to be here. God bless you and your listeners. If there's anything that I can do for you, you know where to find me. It's
Yep.
definitely, and I appreciate you very
It's
much.
been fun. I appreciate it. Okay, folks, there you are. Living proof. You don't have to be old to be successful. You just got to plug into somebody that is where you want to be, tie into them, be humble enough to listen to what they have to say, and do the work. Set your goals, get out there and do the work, no matter what that work entails. Be determined that you're not going to quit until you've been successful. Here's a young man that's living proof of that at a very young age. And because of his success, he's been elevated to a position of being able to pass on his wisdom, his experience to other people. Isn't that what it's all about? Is the things that we have done in life, we should be willing to pass on to other people. People are expecting us to be successful in whatever we do. Grant Cardone says, success is your responsibility, your duty, and your obligation, not just for yourself, your family, your country, your church, the world. needs the success that we can bring to the table. And so here we have it today, another episode of Money Talks on our podcasts and also on the Roku channel. Thanks for tuning in. Hope it's been a blessing to you. Hope you wrote down Sean's phone number, got his information for his social media, Sean.Ginsburg. And take care. Until next time, we'll see you again soon. All right. So over and out, folks. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Bye-bye. Hi, thanks for being here today for another episode of Money Talks. I hope it was informative and encouraging to you. If it struck a chord in your heart, or if you have any questions or comments, please let us know. Visit us at rstcoachingacademy.com, call 386-286-2450, or send an email to email@rstcoachingacademy. Thanks again, and until next time, be great.